Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, let's tinker with our LOWRANCE units just a little bit. I'm going to show you 3 different settings that I always tinker with when I get new LOWRANCE units on my boats. The system that I have on my boat this year is a full LOWRANCE system. Previously, I had a 3-brand system, but I've gone back to just full LOWRANCE, and I absolutely love it. We've got 2 HDS 12 Pros on the front. We've got a Ghost trolling motor on the very front of the boat. We've got 2 more HDS 12 Pros here at the console. We've got all the best that LOWRANCE offers on this boat. And there's 3 different settings that I'm going to show you that I think are super important for you to dial in when you get your units. So the very first one, this one's going to be controversial. This is going to be one that not everybody agrees with my choice in settings, but essentially has to do with your chart, your mapping, okay? And essentially that is the orientation. All right, when you get your unit, you want to set it to an orientation that is what you like. So essentially there's 3 options, but there's 2 general options. You've got north up or you've got heading up. Heading up always has the bow of your boat pointed towards the top of the screen. So the boat does not move, okay? It doesn't rotate with the screen. The background, the actual lake rotates on the screen instead of the boat. So the boat is always pointed towards the top of the screen. The north up orientation is what I prefer because I think that this just makes more sense. It's more natural. Instead of the cursor always oriented up towards the top of the screen, the top of the screen just denotes true north on this screen. Okay, so so true north is up here, and the map does not rotate when you move the boat. The boat icon and your extension line are the only ones that rotate. Okay, to me that just feels more natural. It feels like that's the way it's supposed to be, and I get turned around and disoriented so bad when I use heading up. Whenever somebody hop in a boat, somebody that has heading up, it just drives me crazy. But I think it's really just a personal preference type scenario. So you just need to figure out which one is more natural for you to figure out, because if you have an orientation that's not something that comes naturally to you, that you're able to process real quickly, it can be a real problem, especially when it comes to navigation, staying within channel markers and things like that, especially if you can't see them above the surface. So making sure you have the orientation down to what you can process is really important. The next thing that I always turn on is this heading extension right here, this line, this blue line. Without it, you still have the arrow of your boat icon pointing in the direction that the bow is pointing. However, the heading extension allows you to line up for boat positioning, for casting at specific targets better. Also, it makes you more efficient at navigating to your destination, especially on big lakes and things like that, because you can line up that heading extension depending on how long you set it to, and you can just go directly to that location. So for the bow, I'm gonna go to pages, we're gonna go to settings, we're gonna go down to chart. This is where you find the heading extension option here. I have it turned on, and I have it set to 100 feet here on the bow. Now 100 feet on the bow I think is really important, because that kind of is the length of a long cast, your average long cast. And so I want to know when I'm getting within casting distance of a certain target. Maybe it's a brush pile in front of the boat, and I also want to make sure that I line up the boat, that heading extension, with that target, so I know exactly where I need to cast to hit that target. But at the console, I'm primarily using it as a navigation tool at the console. So the console, I might set it to 10 miles or even 100 miles in some situations. Like when I fish the Great Lakes, like we were fishing Lake Erie years ago out of Sandusky Bay, and I was running all the way up to Anchor Bay on St. Clair, 95-mile run. But the biggest stretch, of course, is the stretch where you're essentially navigating across Lake Erie for 45 miles and to get to the Detroit River. And I would set my extension or my heading extension to 100 miles. That way I could line up that line directly with the Detroit River and know I'm taking the most efficient route possible, okay? Because if you're off just a degree for 10 miles or so, that's taking away valuable time and fuel that you would otherwise have if you just use the extension. So heading extension, very important for both boat positioning and navigation. The final setting that I always set on my graph is the auto hide menu feature. Okay, so this menu is great, but it takes up a lot of your of the space of your screen, right? So it takes up room on your screen. You can just swipe it like that once you're done with it. Or what I have preferred to do is I go to settings, I go down to system, and we go to advanced. I like to go to user interface and make sure that auto hide menu is on. And that means that after 15 seconds of you not using the menu, it will disappear automatically. So that is another way to just fine tune your unit and to be more efficient on the water. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to show you some of the things that I do to my LOWRANCE units whenever I get a new LOWRANCE system, and these just allow me to be more efficient and overall more effective when it comes to boat positioning, ease of use of the units, as well as navigation. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions at all or want me to cover a topic in a future video, drop that comment below. Other than that, I'm gonna see you out on the water. Trust the process.